Technology is best when it brings people
This call is
together.
now being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sushma SG, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering,
Madam,
GMIT.
madam,
Deeply
audio is not
privileged of
clear.
welcoming you all to the session
Sushma
on
madam,
Angel Investment VC Funding Opportunity for Early Stage
Sushma madam,
Entrepreneurs. First of all, I would like to welcome
Sushma
the key
madam.
speaker of this webinar, Professor Ajay Kumar, Associate Professor at the Postgraduate Department of Management Studies and Research Center, SIT, Tumkuru. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
I welcome President of this program, Dr. Y. Vijay Kumar, Principal, GMIT. Welcome you, sir, in his absence. I welcome Dr. Manjappa, sir, Director, Research and Innovation, GMIT, Davangere. Welcome you, sir, in his absence. I welcome Dr. Sanjay Pandey, MB, Professor and Head, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, GMIT, Davangere. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I welcome Dr. Maunish Acharya, Convener, GMIT, IIC. Welcome you, sir. I welcome Dr. Mohammad Yasin, Coordinator, GMIT IIC. Welcome you, sir. Lastly, I welcome all the faculties of various departments, students, participants to this session. Welcome you all. Now, I would like to take an opportunity to introduce our key speaker, Professor M. Ajay Kumar holds PhD in Finance from Vishveshwaraya Technological University, Belgavi, Master's degree in Commerce from Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala, and Diploma in Business Management from ICFAI. He has also completed the intermediate level of ICWAI examinations. Currently, Professor Ajay Kumar is Associate Professor at the Postgraduate Department of Management Studies and Research Center, Siddhganga Institute of Technology, Tumkuru. He started his career as lecturer in the Commerce Department of Chavara College at Kochi in 1995. Between 1996 and 98, he worked as academic associate in the finance area of the prestigious Indian Institute of Management, IIM, Ahmedabad. During the same time, he was also a visiting faculty at Gujarat University, ICFAI, B School, and NIFT, Gandhinagar. Professor Ajay various finance-related subjects. He has also held responsibilities of chairman, board of examiners, member, board of studies, TGP coordinator, internal auditor for ISO, etc. Between 2005 and 2016, he was the finance officer for Technical Education Quality Improvement Program, a World Bank funded project worth rupees 200 million. Professor Ajay Kumar's teaching and research interests include commodity markets, financial markets, derivatives, investment and corporate finance. He has published papers in international and national journals and presented papers in various conferences. A case study co-authored by him was published by the Economic Times Cases in 2017. A book titled Readings in Contemporary Management Research, jointly edited by him, was released in 2019. He is on the editorial board of two referred journals, is a reviewer for McGraw-Hill Education in India. He was a reviewer for Pan IIM conference in 2018 and a regular reviewer for publications of College of Banking and Financial Studies. He organizes training programs on commodity markets in collaboration with Multi-Commodity Exchange of India, Mumbai. He conducts training programs on finance for Ministry of MSME, Government of India. Once again, welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Now I hand over the session to Mr. Professor Ajay Kumar, sir. Sir.
Yeah, can I share my screen now? And
Please,
am I
please.
audible to you?
Yeah, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll just share my screen. Is the screen visible to you, sir?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, sir. Yes.
Okay, okay. Because I'm a little new to this Google Meet. I normally use Zoom and WebEx. Shall we start? Are we in?
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Very good morning to all of you. I would like to sincerely thank the GMIT Davangere Management, the Institute Innovation Council for inviting me for this talk. Special thanks to Dr. Maunish Achari and Professor Sushma, who has been interacting with me, and I've been troubling her a lot by sending a lot of messages asking for a lot of details, but she has been very cooperative. So let me the topic was suggested by the Institute Innovation Council. So let us spend some time on understanding what is this angel investment and what do you mean by venture capital funding, and how is it useful for early stage entrepreneurs. All right. Now let me ask you, what is the purpose of this talk? Why are we spending time on this? And what is it that you can expect at the end of this talk? I was told by Professor Sushma that the audience for this would be mostly the students of engineering and MBA and few faculty members. So what I thought is I will not make this talk from a theoretical perspective. I'm not here to prepare you for answering a question on venture capital or angel funding in the examination. That's not my purpose. My purpose here is to give you some insights on this in case if you turn an entrepreneur after your course is over. So what is it that you expect from this talk? Let me hear from somebody. Let's make it more interactive. Otherwise, I may be very boring. It may not be good to listen to me for 40-45 minutes continuously. So I would request you to kindly give your feeds in between. You can keep talking to me, and wherever you have a question or a doubt, please raise your hand or put it in your chat box or stop me. I will be happy to answer those questions. So let us make it more of a dialogue and less of a monologue. So let me ask you, if a couple of students can tell me, see, your institute has spent some time in organizing this talk. Professor Sushma has been coordinating this, and I have spent some time putting this data together and preparing this presentation. You are spending almost an hour of your valuable time here. So what is the end result of this? What is it that you expect to carry home after this talk? Is it that you have come here just because your faculty have told you, or you have some expectations from this? Can one or two people quickly tell me what is your expectation?
ಇವರು ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ 40 ಕೊಟ್ಟರಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ
Hello.
ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರು ತಿದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Hello.
Sir. Myself, I'm
Yes,
Mallikarjun.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Faculty in MIT.
Yeah.
At the end of this, I am the venture capital is nothing but a kind of I wanted to know what kind of enterprise you can start by this venture capital.
Okay.
I wanted to really start one startup company. So I wanted to have a complete, because do not have a management background like MBA or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm right now 50 plus. I wanted to start my own company after 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm really interested in to know what is this kind of venture capital investment.
Very good. I think at least I've got one person who probably is really looking forward to some inputs from me. I hope I should be able to satisfy your quest
sir,
for knowledge by the end of it.
I will listen to the whole lecturing and I will come back to you.
Sure. It's my pleasure to talk to you, sir. Any others, especially from students?
Sir, now, sir, I'm Pandey. Yeah.
Madam, before I do that, Sushma, madam, what is happening is I am able to see only my screen. I am not able to see those who are speaking. I may not be, I don't know how do I change it.
Now I think.
Yes. So now the major concept is, as a technical people are with respect to a technical education, what we have,
Yes.
we go with respect to doing our degree and ultimately once again become an employee of some organization, It
Yes.
might be most probably a software company or something. And after most probably 10 years or 15 years down the line, we come to know that, yeah, can I become something? Because my knowledge which is there, I could have made something better than what I am now doing it.
Okay.
Maybe when I am not being recognized for my work. So at that time, taking a decision might be a problem. So I think it can be started with the right mold now only. It might be.
Yes.
I think that might be the one more concept which we think.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Anybody else would like to say something, especially some students I want, because I'm positioning, I'm happy that some of the faculty have taken a lot of interest, but I'm looking at students also to interact. Ultimately, there's a program for you. So if some students can please tell me what is it that you're expecting from this. Another 2 minutes, quickly.
Okay, hi sir, it's Pranav over
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, that's what we wanna become. I wanna become an entrepreneur, so I wanna know about like the financial forecasting and all that stuff, like how will the company grow and something like that.
Okay.
The
Okay.
investment,
So
the
Okay.
P&L statements, something like that.
Okay. Pranav, I'll come back to your point a little later. If you are interested in knowing how to do financial forecasting and how to do P&L, balance sheet and all, I would like to tell you in the beginning itself, you're going to be a little disappointed because that's not what I'm going to cover today. Okay. For that, we may need a totally different session. You see, I do a program called Finance for Non-Finance Executives for Ministry of MSME. There I train people on how to prepare this and all, but today's focus is not that, but I'm sure you will get some very interesting insights from what I'm going to talk today. So you may not be able to pick up financial forecasting and all, but hold on. Anybody else? Okay, I think we will start. Is my screen visible now or not?
No, it's right.
Okay. Now, is there no way I can see both of that? I am just wondering because I'm not very good at this Google Meet. I have to change the layout, I suppose, isn't it so?
No, sir, once again, you have to share the screen.
I know that, but then what happens is when I share the screen, I only see my PPT. I don't see the participants list of faces.
Sir. Yes. Sir.
That is how it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because in Zoom and all, we get to see other things also, so that otherwise, okay, fine, no problem. I will go ahead with that. I'll just share the screen once. So anytime you have anything, please stop me because I'm not able to see anything. I won't be able to see the chat messages here, nothing. I can only see my PPT. So in case if you have any doubts or something, please raise your hand or you ping it to Professor Sushma and she will stop me and ask me a doubt. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Okay, fine. So some of you have told me what you are expecting. Let me just tell you what am I going to cover. I'm going to talk about funding for early stage entrepreneurs. What are the issues and challenges? What is the financing continuum that an entrepreneur takes in the entire life of its organization? What is the meaning of angel investors? What do you mean by that? And what are the characteristics and how do you understand them? What is venture capital? What is it that a venture capitalist looks for from an entrepreneur? What are the stages of venture capital funding? And how does an enterprise get ready for VC funding? This is what Professor Mallikarjun was asking me possibly. How do you get ready for a VC funding? And we will close this workshop with a beautiful Indian case study, a company which has gone from initial stages up to the final IPO stage. So that's the kind of progression our presentation will have. Let's quickly look at what are the challenges somebody faces in early stage funding. Normally, most of these entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs, start with an idea. What is important is an idea. All of you have an idea. There is an idea and I have a lot of technical skills to look at that idea and I'm very good at that. So what is interesting is that I have an idea. Now this idea must be technical idea. It may be an idea relating to a product. It may be an idea relating to a service. It can be anything. An entrepreneur has technical competence, and that's what Professor was telling me in the beginning. Most of the startup entrepreneurs are extremely good at technical competence. They also have many times a commercial acumen. But what is missing is capital. Because most of these entrepreneurs are what we call as first generation entrepreneurs. What is the meaning of first generation entrepreneurs? That means they don't belong to a business family. I don't have a family which is into business from where I can take money and start my business. So if our professor is starting a business, he is a professor. He is not from a business background. So most of the times, these first generation entrepreneurs, they have everything except capital. Now, if they want to raise this capital, what are the challenges? Many times the idea is new. It can be a product or process. It can be a product or a service. Sometimes the product is new. Sometimes the product is same, but the process is new. Many times it's a new idea. The moment it is a new idea, many people may not believe you. So the people who have to give funds to you, unless you're able to convince them, it is very difficult to get funds. The idea is mostly not tested. It's not a tested idea. Nobody has tried it in the past. Since they have not tried it, people don't know what will happen. Since it is not tried, what are the chances of success or failure? People don't know. Therefore, traditional funding institutions do not understand or appreciate your idea. Just look at a bank. How does a bank give money to you? They ask you for a security. If you want a housing loan, you have to give the house documents, and then against that document, they're going to give you money. If you go to a company and say, hey, here is a new idea, I am going to start this business. Nobody has done it in the past. Can you give me money? The banks don't understand. I always keep cracking a joke about banks. It's a very well-known joke. People say a bank is an institution which gives you an umbrella when it is shining and takes it back when it is raining. So actually you need an umbrella when it is raining, right? So many times the banks, when you are wealthy, when you have a lot of assets with you, when you have a lot of money with you, banks are willing to give you more money, no problem. The moment you start getting into trouble, that is when you need their support, they will come asking for their money back. That is how traditional financial institutions work. And in these startup entrepreneurs, they don't have any assets. The bank will say, what are the assets you can pledge? I have no assets. I only have an idea. What I have is an idea. An idea cannot be a security for bank borrowing. So they will say, okay, you don't have an asset. How do I give you money? Because the banks are more keen on your ability to repay, not on your business idea. If a bank is giving money to you, they are not excited about your business idea. They want to make sure that the money will be repaid by you on time, and for that repayment, they want to see whether you have enough assets with you. And if you fail to repay, they want to take over your assets and get their money back. But most of the times, a startup entrepreneur does not have any assets. If it is not a production-based idea, he may not even have fixed assets. If it is a service-based idea, today a lot of entrepreneurs are app-based. For an app-based idea, what is a fixed asset? You don't have land, you don't have building, you don't have machinery, you don't have plant, nothing is there. It's all technology. You develop an app and send it to people. So that app has to work. Now, a bank rarely understands this. And many times, people don't know what is the possibility of scaling up. That means whether this business can be taken, volumes of the business can be taken up or not, is not known. This is the challenge that all early stage entrepreneurs are facing. Now, let us see, therefore, we are very clear, we can't go to a bank, we can't go to a funding financial institution. Then how do I get it? Where do I get the money from? Let us see how a startup's funding happens in the entire life of a startup. That is what I call as the financing continuum. If you look at this chart, every business starts with honest money. First, you need to put some money from your own pocket. However small that amount is, it starts from honest money. I hope I'm clearly audible because I'm not getting any feedbacks from you. I'm audible, no? Please tell me. And it is very clear, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Audible, sir.
Yeah. Once my money is not enough, obviously I start scratching the pockets of my family and friends. The first person to ask is my father, my brother, my uncle, and then my friends. So I move from honest money to my family and friends. From family and friends, this is where an external person first comes in, and that's called an angel investor. We will talk about angel investor a little later. From angel investor, I move to a venture capitalist, which is an institution. Angel investor is mostly an individual. I move to an institution, and from there, only after a venture capitalist put money, my organization has grown in sizable manner. Then the banks starting understanding me. I can go to a bank and financial institution. Sometimes I may not do this at all. I may skip this, or I may depend on this only for a very small amount. I may take only small amount from banks. I will straight go to private placement. Private placement is I become a company. My shares are given to a group of individuals who are interested in buying it, and the final is called initial public offering. Now I have become real big. Initial public offering. I have become very big now. Initial public offering, IPO. How many of you don't know what is IPO? Please tell me. I can spend 2 minutes on this. Do you want me to explain what is IPO? Anybody who doesn't know what is an IPO?
Yes, sir.
Okay. IPO means your organization is now a company, and the capital of a company is divided into shares. When these shares are issued to public, now what happens? Your company becomes a public company. Public becomes partly owners of your company. And this process is not called as initial public offering. Okay, only when you are big, you end up doing that. So this is how you move. As you start moving from the startup stage to a company stage, what will happen? The scale of operation goes up. Obviously, here you are a very small company. You are a very small company here. You are very small. And here you are big. You are a national player, sometimes you are an international player. Unless and until you are nationally known, you cannot go for an IPO because people will not buy your shares. Size of organization grows. Here, you are there, maybe 1 or 2 people with you, maybe your friends, your family, you start a business with your brother. Your entire organization is say 2 to 3 people, that's all. You have an organization size of 2 to 3 people. Here you are big, you are a big organization, and nature of the organization changes. Please understand, when you are a small organization, most of the times it is people-centric. How does business, family business work? If you have a shop, 1 or 2 brothers are taking care of, it is people-centric. People are managing it. You don't need to be very formal there. If you 2 brothers are managing a shop and you want to go for a wedding one day, you want to take a leave, you have to give a leave application there? No, you just tell your brother, you please take care of my shop tomorrow, I'm not coming. That's it. It is people-centric. The moment you start moving from a small company to large company, you have to become process-centric. You will move from people-centric to process-centric. Take the case of a large company like Infosys, Wipro. Do you think somebody can take leave by just making a phone call? No, there is a procedure. How are people recruited? There is a procedure. How is the payment made? There is a procedure. So as you start moving from a small company to big company, you move from people-centric to process-centric. Individuals become less and less important. Processes start becoming more and more important. In a small organization, individual-centric, who takes the decision? One person takes the decision. Here, your entrepreneur takes the decision. Here, your board of directors will take the decision. That is the difference. Fund requirements keep growing. Here you are happy with few lakhs of rupees. Here you are happy with say few lakhs. And here you are talking about hundreds of crores. This is the journey of an entrepreneur. Okay. So let us look at these different stages. We will come back and our talk is going to be on angel investors and venture capital. I'm not going to touch upon anything else. We will spend little time on angel investors and little more time on venture capitalists. Let's move on. Now, let us look at what are the different stages. One is a pre-seed stage. Pre-seed means conception. This is your idea stage. Okay, in the idea stage, who are the people? You put your own money, friends and family will put some money. There are some early stage angels, people who are very early to come to you, which is not very common. It's a very rare thing. What is your company stage? It's a pre-product. Your product is only getting ready. What are you trying to do? Hiring team members, critical team members, developing a prototype for the product. Your product is getting ready. You move from there to a seed stage. This is where your product is ready and it is ready for commercialization. Your commercialization comes here. You are trying to commercialize your product. Now your angels will come and some early venture capitalists will come. Okay, so angel investors will come here. Your product is ready. You are about to launch the product. Signs of a product market fit. Your product is ready. Market is identified. There is some traction happening. People have started getting attracted to your product. What are you trying to do? You are trying to fuel growth beyond funding. Funds product development. You are now into product development. This was product conception. You conceived a product. Now you are developing the product. Then comes your series A, B, C. You don't worry about this A, B, C and all. There are different stages. This is where a real venture capitalist comes in. Or there is something called super angels. Now, you are now looking at revenue growth. Your product is already launched. Now you want the growth. Marketing becomes increasingly important. Your focus shifts from production to marketing. You are now looking at new sales and marketing process. You are understanding the ideal customers and his needs. Next round also, your venture capitalists will come and some late stage venture capitalists will come. You are now growing very, very fast. Your success depends on your ability to scale up. How fast can you become big? How fast can you multiple your production? How fast can you multiple your sales? If your sales can exponentially grow, that is when your company has come to this stage. Expensive hires, you start getting people by paying higher amounts, expands into different market segments, experiment with revenue streams. Now you have become really big. Late stage venture capitalists, private equity firms, hedge funds, banks, and this is where your IPO comes. Large scale operations. You are a big company now. Moving into new markets, you are also looking at acquisitions. You are now trying to take over other companies. So this is how it moves. So to answer what Professor Mallikarjun asked me in the beginning, if you have an idea, you cannot get an angel funding or VC funding at this stage. Unless you have moved to this stage, if you have moved to this stage, an angel will come. If you move to this stage, a venture capitalist will come. So this is how it is. See, nobody comes and gives you money at the idea stage. At the idea stage, it's your money, your family money, your friends' money. You should be really lucky if you can get an early stage angel. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to give you a case study where an early stage angel came into a company and made a big difference. I know all of you know about that company, but I'm keeping it as a small surprise so that at the end you will come to know how that company flourished. Okay. Is this fine? Can I move on now? Are you clear about whatever I said just now? Any doubts on what I said till now? Any clarifications, any doubts? Sushma madam, any messages in the inbox?
No sir, no sir.
Okay, so shall I move?
Yes sir.
Okay, fine. Let's move on now. What is an angel investor? An angel investor is mostly high net worth individuals. These are individuals. Examples, we have your Ratan Tata is an angel investor. Okay. Your Nilekani, Nandan Nilekani is an angel investor. There are many NRIs who are angel investors. Who are they? They have a lot of surplus money. They have huge money available with them and they are keen on funding new ideas. What is the advantage of angel investor? Faster closing of deals. Since you are talking to only one person, you are not talking to a company, you are talking to one person or a small group of people, it is easy to convince them. If you are talking to one person, say for example, you have an idea. I think it was Uber, I think where Ratan Tata had put some money. So if you have an idea and one angel investor is convinced about the idea, it's a question of convincing one person. But when you're talking to a VC, it's a company, so it's not easy. Whereas you talk to one person, if you are able to strike the right node with that person and he is interested in your business, he's going to give you money. So the closing of deals becomes very fast. I will again come back to our case study in the end and tell you how fast the closing happened in that case. Easier due diligence. What is due diligence? This is a very interesting word in all kind of funding. Can anybody tell me what is due diligence? Anybody knows about what is due diligence? What is due diligence? Can anybody tell me? Let me ask, what is due diligence? Now, please don't Google and tell me. If you know, you tell me. Otherwise, I will explain to you. Due diligence. Okay, let me ask you a question. Let us make it a little more lively. I have a lot of boys and girls here. Assume that you are about to get married, arranged marriage, not love marriage. Love marriage, due diligence is in a different stage. Arranged marriage. Before you decide to get married, what do you do normally? A girl side has seen a boy, and before they decide, yes, okay, we'll go ahead. What do you do normally? What do your parents do? You may not do, your parents do. What do you do? Yeah, anybody can. A lot of prospective brides and bridegrooms are there in my talk, so you should tell me what is normally done before you get married in an arranged marriage. I'm not talking about a love marriage. Love marriage, you don't give a choice to your parents, so that doesn't matter. What happens in an arranged marriage? What do you do? Yeah, interesting topic. Nothing to do with venture capital. What is normally done by a bride's parents or groom's parents? What do they do? Yeah, no answer? Please go ahead. Unless you tell me, I won't know whether you are listening to me or I am still in the meeting or internet has gone. I won't know. Anybody?
You have given a chance to people who are going to marry, but I have married.
Sorry. yeah, I am waiting for people who are waiting to get married to talk.
Let them talk.
All right. Yeah, I have a lot of boys and girls here. Young boys and girls. Are you shy to talk about your marriage? Yeah, go ahead. What do? You must have seen your sister getting married, your brother getting married. It's a very interesting thing. I want to connect it to with business. What do you do normally? Anybody? There was one guy who spoke to me, Pranav. Yeah, Pranav, please tell me. If Pranav is still in the meeting, what do you do, Pranav? If your sister is getting married or your brother is getting married, what do you do? What is it that we do normally? Everybody does it. Don't tell me shopping. I'm talking about something else. Yeah.
Pranav is not there, sir.
So he left. Okay. I told him I'm not covering P&L account. He left. All right. Okay. Anybody else? Please go ahead. GMIT has a lot of young boys and girls. So please tell me. Anybody? Nobody? Nobody? Okay. What do you normally do? You try to find out the background of the family to which you are getting married, or your daughter is getting married. You look at their character. You talk to some of their friends and relatives. You find out their financial position. You find out so many other things relating to that family before you make up your mind, okay, my daughter can be married to this family. This is what is called due diligence. Actually, in business, what happens is whenever an angel investor or a venture capital fund wants to put money into your business, they will do this. They will ask so many details to understand whether their money is going into a right business. Therefore, this is called due diligence. So in an angel investor, due diligence is easy because you're trying to convince only one person. So they are convinced. If they are convinced about your idea, it is easy for you to get the due diligence clear. These angel investors are less demanding and they are less interfering. Once they give money to you, they have a hands-free approach. They don't come and sit in your office. They don't ask you every day what is happening. They don't interfere too much into your business. They give you money and become silent partners. But what is the problem here? The fund available are relatively small. How much can an individual give you? 1 or 2 crores, 3 crores? How much he cannot give you 300, 400 crores. Therefore, the fund available which angel investors is limited. And these angel investors works mostly on personal contacts. You know them or somehow you have got in touch with them. You have established a personal rapport with them and based on that, it works. I've taken a 3-day back business standard report. This report says, Chai Wale is a startup in Chennai. I want you to see how much money they have raised, 5 crore. Okay. Current round of funding saw celebrity investors like Nayanthara and Vignesh Shivan. Okay, they have invested about 5 crore into this Chennai-based startup, which is called Chai Wale. Okay, a Chennai-based quick service restaurant startup has raised 5 crore in funding from angel investors. So, how much you have got? About 5 crore. in the beginning, it may be enough for you. But when you're scaling up, it may not be possible. So when you move from a smaller organization to a larger organization, you have to move from an angel investor to a venture capitalist. Let us look at that. So what is a venture capital firm? A venture capital is a firm with a substantial pool of money. They have huge money. They have pulled this money from other companies. They have pulled this money from some foundations, or they have pulled this money from pension funds, etc. You don't have to worry about where their money came from. It is unlike angel investors who give you money and keep away from you. A venture capital firm also assists the startup in market research. I'm not saying all VCs do it, but they may do it. Don't expect all VCs to do it. Some VCs don't do it, some VCs do it. They may help you in strategy formulation. They will help you in linking with the prospective customers. They will help you in establishing management and organization structure. They'll tell you, look, your organization should be like this. You need to have this many key people. You need to recruit people at these positions. They will provide you management consulting. They will probably assist you in employee recruitment, and they will also assist you in risk management. I'm not saying all of them do it. Some of them do it. Some of them don't do it. But anyway, they are more active compared to angel investors. They involve in the operations of the firm and usually are very demanding. They are going to put a lot of demands on you. They are not easy people like angel investors. Why is that? Because they are partial owners of your company now. And how much money they have given you? They have probably given you sometimes even half or more than half of the money. So if you have invested, say, 25, 30 crores, maybe about 15 to 20 crores have come from them. So it is equally their business. It is not only your business now. So since it is their business also, they become very demanding. They start interfering in your business. I won't call it interfering. They start involving in your business in a very proactive manner. So if you don't want people to come to your business like that, you cannot grow. There are many businesses I have seen who have developed a niche, but they never grew because they didn't want dilution of the control. Said, okay, this is my shop. This is the business I'm doing. And I don't want to go beyond this, because to go beyond this, I need more money. The moment I want more money, I have to allow people to come to my organization and dilute my control, which I'm not interested. You must have heard of some businesses, like one business which I have heard of is one peda maker in Dharwad. I'm not able to recollect that name. That peda maker in Dharwad, he has a shop only in Dharwad. He doesn't want to diversify. He doesn't want to go places. He makes a certain quantity of peda every day and sells it. Now you'll ask me, why can't he grow up? Why can't he scale up? To scale up, he needs money. The moment I want money, I have to depend on others. When others give money to me, they will start getting a controlling stake in my organization. I don't like that. If you don't like that, you be where you are. If you are a niche player, fine. If you are not a niche player, you will be driven out to the market. See, I was in Ahmedabad many years ago, and near the old city, there was one, Raipur Darwaza. These people have gone to Ahmedabad. There was a small shop which used to sell bhajis in the evening. He is a specialist in variety of bhajis. Believe me, he starts the shop around 6 o'clock in the evening and he closes at 12 o'clock in the night. That's it. 6 to 12 is his business. The whole day he is preparing for that day's preparation. Around 5 o'clock onwards, I have seen people standing in queue to buy his bhaji. Just imagine a bhaji which can be fried in your house. It's not a specialty product. It is not a product which requires a lot of complications to make. Still, why people are standing there? And he didn't have any other shop. The quality that he served was very good. I've seen people standing in queue. Now remember, this I saw in 97, 98 when I was in Ahmedabad. 2014, I went again to Ahmedabad. I had some work, so I was there for a week. Out of my curiosity, I went to Raipur Darwaza. Can you believe me? So many years later, the shop looked almost same and the queue only became longer. He didn't expand. He was getting that business. He was happy with that. So the moment you want to become big, you have to accept the fact that more people will come to my business. Since they have put their hard-earned money, I should be ready to give my control to them. Now it is not my own business or only my business. It is our business where that person also has come in. That is the role of a venture capitalist. Let's move on now. If you look at some recent trends in venture capital funding, you can see that during the first half of 2021 itself, 382 deals. The entire last year was 764. But what is important, this is half of it almost, no problem. But look at the amount. In the entire 2020, you can probably say this is a corona year. Look at 19, 13 billion. Look at this, in 6 months, 12 billion. This is a proof that our economy is picking up. 12 billion has been raised from January to June 2021, which is all now the same trend continues. Almost about 24-25 million will be raised in the remaining second half of this year, which will be the highest ever in the history of Indian venture capital funding. And which are the companies which are taking money? These are all unicorns. Unicorn is a technical term in venture capital funding. Unicorn is a privately held company, a startup company whose valuation is more than 1 billion. Look at these names. Cred. Have you heard of this company? Have you seen the advertisement of Cred coming in your television? Have you heard of Urban Company? Have you heard of PharmEasy? These are all companies which are raising money. See, they have raised about 442 million. This company has raised about 443 million. PharmEasy has raised about 929 million during the first 6 months of 2021. I'm sure you have heard, what is Cred into? What is Cred? What is the business of Cred? You must have seen recently some advertisements of Cred in the television. Or what is Urban Company into? Urban Company is a service providing firm which does a lot of services like, home services. You can call them, they'll come and clean your house, they'll come and clean your air conditioner, they'll get you a hair cutting done at home. So this is a company which picked up a lot of business thanks to the pandemic. Please understand, when it was pandemic, when many businesses were going down, there were many more businesses which did well. Most of these online-based businesses did well. What is PharmEasy? You can buy medicines online sitting at home. So these are the companies which are raising money. See, these companies are big now. They cannot afford to go to angel investors. They're going to venture capitalists now. Let's see, what do VCs look for? If you want to raise money from a venture capitalist, what is it that they are looking for? They first look at the product and service and its strength. Is the idea very strong? Is this idea a very good idea? Is it going to click? First thing is that. If your idea is not good, if you are not very clear about your idea, in the first look itself, they will say, no, I'm not interested. What is the viability? You may have a wonderful idea, but is it commercially viable? I may be able to prepare a prototype, but can I commercially manufacture it? And what is the sustainability? Is this idea going to be there for another 3 months, or is it going to be there for many more years to come? If you have an idea which is going to be there for 3 months to 6 months, nobody is interested. Why would somebody come to you? The moment sustainability is there, yes, it is possible for me to push this idea for many more years. The product or service that I'm going to offer can be long-lived. Only then a VC is interested. What is the capability and commitment of the management team? They will look at who are all involved. What is your capabilities and what is your commitment? You may be capable, but you may not be committed. You are saying, okay, I'm working for a software company. Saturdays and Sundays, I will devote to this company. Otherwise, I am working in Infosys or Wipro. Only Saturdays, Sundays, I will work on this. VC will not come to you. They will say, you have no commitment. You are technically competent. You are able to develop an app. I have no doubts on your technical competence, but you don't want to leave that Infosys job and spend full time on this. So why should I spend my money on this? So sometimes capabilities is important. Equal important is commitment. How committed you are to this business? Are you going to be focusing on this business, or you are looking at this as an additional part-time income for me? No VC is interested. What is the demand for this product? Is this demand clearly understood? And what are market conditions? We will talk about it a little later. I have another slide coming on this market conditions. What are the production facilities and logistics? Because I told you VC will come to you only after you have started your business. VC doesn't come to you at an idea stage, which means your production facility is already there and you have tied up with some logistic agencies. Is it very strong? What are the risks involved? They are putting their money, so they have to see what is the risk. Okay, what is the timing? Are you a first mover? Are you a follower? Or are you a late entrant? First mover, you are the first person to bring the product to the market. Whenever I talk about first mover, I cannot resist my temptation to talk about a company called Xerox. Xerox was the first in the world to come up with a photocopying machine. And it became so much so popular that today we have so many other companies, including Canon, Panasonic, Sony. They also have photocopiers. But what do you ask when you go to a shop? What do you ask? You ask for a photocopy or you ask for a Xerox copy? What do you ask?
Xerox Kodi.
Xerox Kodi anta hedu. One Xerox Kodi anta. Ali irodu machine Xerox alla. Adu Sony irabodu, Panasonic irabodu. But now aglu Xerox anta helthivi. This is what is called a first mover advantage. They came and they became, even today, their competitors cannot replace that name. In front of shops, have you seen? His mission may be Panasonic. He will write there, Xerox. Look at the branding the company has created. That is called first mover. Are you the first mover? Or are you the follower? Somebody has come. You are the second guy. But sometimes your second guy may be better than the first guy. That's also possible. Or you are a late entrant. Market is already there. You are a late entrant. If you are a late entrant, what is your USP? How are you different from others? If you are similar to these people, VC will not come to you. Everybody is doing business, I will also do. VC is not interested. VC is interested, even if you are a late entrant, are you bringing some strong uniqueness to your product, which can differentiate you from the existing people? They will come to you. What is a competitive rivalry? How is the competition? How many of them are competing with you? Whether the competition is intense or not? What is the scope of scaling up? Can this be scaled up? But at the end of the day, all that what matters is return on investment. What is return on investment? In simple terms, ROI is nothing but profit divided by investment. Simple terms, profit divided by investment in percentage. What matters is ROI. Because please understand, a venture capitalist giving you a few crores of rupees is looking for very high rate of return. If he is looking for 8%, 10% returns, he will get this from some other sources. Somebody has 200 crores to give you. If you offer them 6% to 8% returns, they will say, I will invest this money in a bank fixed deposit and get 6 to 8%. So how much are you able to give me? This is what attracts them. Ultimately, a VC comes to you only if there is high ROI, high possibility of ROI. Please understand, currently you may be making loss. They don't mind. Lot of startups are making loss. But what is important is future prospects. Can high returns be generated in future? Currently, I may be making loss, no problem. But can you get huge money in the future? If the prospects are very less, venture capitalists will not come to you. Let's move on. What are the stages of VC funding? This I will quickly go through. It is not a very big thing. First stage is quick review of the venture. They will first look at quick review. That means they will see whether it matches with their scope and their preferences. For example, one VC may say, I am not interested in putting money into any tech-based startup. If it's a production-based startup, I can. So the moment you approach them, if you are a tech-based startup, they will say, sorry. This is called quick review. Quick review is to see whether it matches with the VC's investment plan and objectives. So if you go to a VC and say, look, I have a tech-based business idea, he'll say, sorry, we are not interested. You have to search for some other VC who may be interested. This is the initial screening. Initial screening, isn't so? The moment it comes to you, okay, this doesn't interest me. So there itself, they will say yes or no. Once this stage is crossed, you have an evaluation of business plan. Now the person says, yes, I'm interested. Let me look at a detailed evaluation of your business plan. What is your business plan? This is where many entrepreneurs fail. They are not able to give a proper business plan, analyzing various factors, including ROI. What is your business plan? What is your ROI expected in future? Second stage. Third stage, if they are happy with it, they will ask the entrepreneur to make a presentation. This is all paperwork. You send the business plan, you send the financials, everything, and they say, okay, this looks interesting. Then they will call the entrepreneur and say, please come and make a presentation. They will have a lot of doubts when they read this document. All those doubts are clarified here. Okay, certain things they may not be knowing. Okay, who is your supplier? Have you tied up with them? How are you going to expand this? So whatever doubts and clarifications they want here, all that they will get clarified during this presentation. So you have to be clear. This presentation is meant for that. At this stage, if ROI is not interesting to them, they will say, sorry, we are not interested. If ROI interests them, then they will call you for a presentation. Once you do a presentation, whatever doubts they have, they will get it clarified. Many times, there is a lack of clarity for the entrepreneurs. Last stage. Once this is done, the VC will come visiting you. Now the VC comes to visit you. They look at your place, look at your production facilities, logistics. They meet the various stakeholders, and final decision on funding is taken. Madam, how much more time do I have? It's almost 11:57. Can I take another 20 minutes?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Now, how do you get ready for VC funding? You know, this is very, very important. Before you go for any funding, your homework is very important. You should have a team which is able to adopt, not a rigid team. I will do like this and only like this I will do. No. You should know the product and service very well. Very, very important. It's your product. If you don't know, who else will know? You should know the customer. Who is your customer? How are you going to reach him? What is the physical reach of the customer? How are you going to market your product? You should know the competition. You should have required skills and background. What is your skill? If it's a technical product, do you have technical skills? Do you have background? Have you worked in some companies which are into this? And you should have some financial commitment. Is the team willing to put some money? Or is it that I only have idea, money comes from outside? No VC is interested. They will ask, what is it that you are investing? So you should have some financial commitment. What is a product? The product must be real and unique. You should have complete clarity on the product. What is this product? What is it proprietary product? Have you got some proprietary right on that? Have you got patent done on it? If it is not a proprietary product, how are you going to compete? Meet a clear need of the customer. Sometimes the needs are expressed. Sometimes they are implied. Some needs are expressed. People tell you, okay, this is a product which I need. This product is missing. So you have understood that. People have felt. Sometimes it is implied. People never told you. You created a need and told people, look, there is a need like this. Why don't you take my product? Have scalability and scope for mass production. No product or service which cannot be scaled can have commercial viability. Do you have current customers? You cannot start a business saying that customer will come in the future. You should have current customers, many more potential customers, and a prospects for rapid growth. Okay. Now, how do you take an idea to business? No idea however strong cannot be successful. No idea however strong can be successful. Sorry, there is an English mistake here. Unless it is backed by a solid business plan. And entrepreneur must have clarity on. This is where I find many times entrepreneurs are found lacking. They should have quality on the product, clarity on the product and the service. They should have clarity on production process, logistics and supply chain. They should know who is my customer, where are they, how to reach. They should know competitors, who are the existing competitors and new competitors, who are my suppliers, what is the cost of my product or service. Very, very important. Because this will go to decide your pricing. What is the cost? If I'm manufacturing something, what is the cost? Unless I know my cost, I cannot put a price. If my price is below the cost, why am I in this business? I'm making losses from day one. So therefore, cost is very, very important. You should know what is your cost. So this is very important. I have spoken to many startup entrepreneurs, and from my interactions, I have seen some entrepreneurs are very strong in something, some areas they're not strong. Unless you are very clear on all this, angel investors and VC will not come to you. Let me tell you two startup stories which I have personally interacted or mentored with. One is a story of a cloth bag. This is something, I'm not going to tell you the company name or the person's name because recently we have had 1 or 2 rounds of discussions with them. He approached us for some clarity on business plan and all. So what he wants to do is he wants to manufacture cloth bags, cloth bags which are cloth carry bags. The product is not new. The product is already there. There is no innovation in the product. Of course, he has brought in some innovative things which I am not going to discuss with you. He is very clear about the product. He is a textile engineer, perfect technical background. He has spoken to people who will supply garments to him. He has spoken to people who will be stitching this bag. As far as the production side is concerned, he is perfect. Nobody can beat him. He even showed us the samples of the bag. He showed us the quality of the bag. This bag can take up to 8 to 10 kgs without breaking. This bag can be easily washed. So many things he has told us. As far as the product is concerned, excellent. But the problem was, he was not very clear about the customers. The problem here is, who will buy cloth bag? Will you buy cloth bag directly from a supermarket and keep it with you? No. Cloth bag you will buy when you go to some other shop or supermarket to buy things. This bag is a replacement for the old plastic bags. Now please understand, you cannot sell this directly to your consumer. You are selling this to supermarkets and retail stores from where this will be sold to their customers. So please understand, he was very clear on pricing. He said, my pricing should be only this much so that people are willing to buy. Now, here is a very interesting case where you are not selling to your consumer. You are selling to a customer in between. He is going to sell it to the final consumer. So this is a little tricky thing. Your consumer doesn't buy directly from you. Your customer is not your consumer. There is a difference between a customer and a consumer. Your customer is who? Your customer is a retail shop. Your consumer is a final customer of retail shop. So this clarity he was not able to bring in. So we had a lot of time understanding this project and telling him how are you going to market and all these things. So otherwise, production-wise, he was excellent. He had no problem at all. He had worked out the cost of each bag. He had worked out the pricing strategy, quality. He had lined up with the people. Everything is done. Now let me look at the second one. It's called a tamarind plucking machine. This was a project of some of my students from my institute, mechanical engineering students. They went for a business plan competition. And this last 1 year, I don't know what has happened here. They designed a tamarind plucking machine. Tamarind is plucked from the trees. They had a machine using some pneumatic technology and all. They said, we will use this machine for plucking tamarind, which is very easy, a very good machine. They even developed a prototype. The problem with them is, they knew the customers. They had no problem. They were very clear who their customers are, tamarind farmers, because Tumkur and in and around area is famous for tamarind cultivation. They were very clear on the customer. Their product was excellent. They already had a prototype ready. Everything is fine. The problem was two things. I asked them, fine, you have a prototype. You have taken the prototype to various places and demonstrated. But that prototype is fine. But if you have to commercially manufacture it, when you have to sell 100 such machines, 1,000 such machines, who is going to do the fabrication? Who is going to manufacture it? Where is your facility? All this fabrication they have done from a small workshop known to them. Now, can that small workshop scale up this? No. The moment your order starts coming in, how are you going to manufacture? And the prototype is not aesthetically good. See, most of the times, the welding will be seen outside, the painting may not be proper. So when you are selling a machine finally, it cannot look like that. It cannot be shabby. It should look perfect, like a product that can be sold to people. Who is going to do that? They had no clarity on that. Okay, what is the cost of this machine? They didn't know much about it. And I said, how are you going to price it? That's where they were almost stuck. They had no idea how to price it. If you price it very high, the problem is people will not buy it from you. If you price it very low, your cost will not be recovered. Now, what is your USP here? Why should somebody buy this machine from you? Why should you buy it? Why should somebody buy? He should get some cost saving. You should say, okay, this one machine can replace 3 laborers. So that is how you have to market it. You have a wonderful product. Technology was good. Technically, they were competent. I have seen their product, excellent. But just because a product is excellent, why should I buy? As a tamarind farmer, I will buy it only if it gives me some savings. This angle, this commercial angle is many times missing. Technical people are excellent. I have no doubt on their technical capabilities. but to think in the commercial manner is what is very important. So every year, few students of SIT go for a competition called Manthan. Have you heard of Manthan? I'm not sure whether GMIT participates in Manthan. Maybe you also participate. Do you participate?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, fine.
Sir, around nine proposals have been accepted, sir, for the next level, sir, from JMIT.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
That's a very good thing. So I am a mentor for Manthan. So people come to me, I spend a lot of time with them. So this is a project which also went to Manthan 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 2019, I don't remember. Now, this is where I keep telling them. I always tell my students, are you ready with everything except funds? So if your project presentation is so good that an angel investor sees you, he has everything ready. All that he needs is money. Here is the money. Can you start it tomorrow? If an angel investor comes and tells you, look, mister, I am so happy with your presentation. If I give you money tomorrow morning, can you start? If your answer is yes, your project is excellent. If you say, no, I have still some loose ends, angel investors are not very happy with you. That is where. And one more thing I keep asking people, if the idea is not new, it's not a new idea, everybody knows about it, but then nobody is doing it. Nobody's doing it. Okay, it's a cloth bag. He has an idea. And what he wants to do, nobody's doing. I don't want to reveal that because we are still in the process of discussion. It's not appropriate for me. So I told him, look, when this is known, if nobody is doing, don't think you are the first person to get this idea. I'm sure many more people got this idea. Still nobody is doing it. Why they are not doing it? Please find out the answer. This answer to this question will clearly tell you what are the barriers. If it is not new, why nobody else is doing? There must be something wrong. There must be some barrier. Identify this barrier. Can you cross it over? Otherwise, don't start because it will be foolish. Everybody knows and nobody starts. So if nobody is starting, there is something wrong. Something is somewhere not proper. So get this question answered. This is where, if you can get this clarity, that's why I put this photo of a spectacle here. Many people are here. They know, but they're not very clear. You have to move to this level. This level of clarity, if you have about your business plan, that is when your angel investors and VCs will come to you. Any doubts up to this? Any doubts up to this? Anybody? Anything you want to ask me? Comment, doubts, questions? Anything? Sushma madam, any questions on the chat box or something?
Sir, is it the end of the lecture so that I can ask you the question?
Yeah, please ask me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have one dream concept to start my own startup company where I am expecting angel investor to do investment.
Okay.
My question is, I would like to offer them the service. It's a service startup company.
Okay.
According to the amount that they have invested, just I wanted to give the service. But am I supposed to give them the profit which I made out of that startup?
Obviously,
obviously
a part of the profit because they are your owners, no? A part of the product.
No,
see
no,
what they
unlike venture capital system where they are expecting a profit out of the investment they made.
Yeah.
But what I do in my startup, I will provide the services proportional to the amount that they have invested. But I don't want to share my profit because 50% of the investment I make it, I raise only the remaining 50%.
Yes.
Them, and I don't expect them to ask for the profit.
I know. See, the question here is, assume that I am the angel investor for your business. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So you have X amount of money required and you are bringing 0.5x and you're asking me to put the remaining 0.5x.
Yes.
Why should I invest this money in your business? Because if I don't invest this, I would have invested in a bank and got about 6 to 8% from that. So if I am giving this 0.5x money to you, you should give me a part of the profit, or the service you are providing to me should be worth that percentage.
Okay. Sir, my startup company.
For example, no, let me just, 2 minutes, let me give you. See, let us take, it's a 10 lakh project. It's a very small 10 lakh project. 5 lakh rupees I am investing, 5 lakh rupees you are investing. Assume that I am expecting about 10% interest, 10% returns every year, which is about 50,000 rupees. Either you should give me 50,000 from your, whatever is your profit, give me 50,000 of that, or you should provide me service equivalent to 50,000. Otherwise, why should I come? Because angel investor also is not doing a charity. He is also
Yes,
a
sir.
businessman.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Sir, that's what I said. I will give the service which does not exist anywhere.
Yeah.
So what
That's
I
what
do
I'm
is
saying.
that service does not exist anywhere. I will give the service, not the
Yeah.
profit. Will it
Yeah.
be okay?
It depends on how you are able to convince them.
No, I will convince them.
Yeah. So what happens here is, in my case, I told you, you are not giving me 50,000 rupees, but you are giving me service worth 50,000 rupees. Isn't it so?
Yes, yes.
Now
yes.
you are pricing this service worth 50,000. You're saying this service I'm giving you, which is worth 50,000 rupees.
Yes.
I should also feel it is worth 50,000 rupees. No. See,
Yes,
it is,
sir. Proportionally, I will definitely give, sir.
so you should be able to.
Sir, proportional to the interest paid by a bank, that much of service I will give it.
More than that. They don't expect interest.
More than
they
that,
expect
little more than that.
Yes.
My
Then-
worry is that they should not interfere in my business.
They don't.
Yeah.
See, normally angel investors don't interfere in your business. But
Yeah.
whether you give them in money terms or you give them in service terms, they should be convinced. Most of the times they expect in money terms. They don't want. But if you feel there is
I
a
agree with
service,
you.
if you feel there is a service which you can give, which nobody is able to give, and they value that service, then definitely they are interested. Okay.
Yes.
So, but it's a question of convincing is little more difficult when you are saying I'll give you service than to give you money. Got
Okay.
it? So that's where
Yes.
the challenge is. If you say this is the profit and I'm going to give you this much, compared to that, this is the profit. I'm not going to give you part of profit. I'm going to give you service. It becomes challenging to convince them. That's the only
Sir,
catch.
my second question is,
Yes.
I have a strong belief that I know about that business.
Yeah.
I have a passion to do that business.
Okay.
See, many occasions there are some
Yeah.
service sector
Yeah.
runs not because of experience, because of
Yeah.
the passion that you have.
Yes.
I have a passion of to do that business, but I do not have an experience. Will it be okay?
No, you have to demonstrate it then. See, please understand, if you go with an idea stage with nothing has been done, angel investors may not be interested.
Okay.
If you have demonstrated it, I will come to the case study and show you, then I will show you. If you have demonstrated the passion and that passion can be converted to a commercial idea, then people are interested. You don't have to work in that area.
Yes.
See, you don't need to have any background, but you have a passion and you feel that passion can be commercialized. Okay. See, for example, one of my friends who was working in a bank, he was passionate about Carnatic music. He had learned a lot of Carnatic music. When he took a VRS, he said, let me start Carnatic music training now. Now, he never has done Carnatic music training before. He has never given a single concert. He has only learned it as a passion. But believe me, at the age of 60, after retiring from the bank, he started this. I'm telling you, he is a very popular Carnatic music teacher in Kerala now. See, it was his passion. He had no background. Of course, he is a small guy, so there is no angel funding and all coming here. I'm just giving an example to you. He had no background, but he demonstrated it. So if your passion can be demonstrated and it can be commercialized, people are interested. What is important is commercialization. Many times, a product stops at the idea stage. You don't think beyond the idea stage. Product cannot sell unless it is valued by the customer. Please understand, I may give a lot of value to it, but that's not important. The guy who buys from me should find value in that. That is why I keep telling people, think from the customer's point of view. Why would somebody pay you some money and buy this? Only if he has a value. You may say, this is an excellent product, the quality is very good. Nobody in the world can give you this quality. But if I find it not valuable for me, why would I buy it from you? So you put yourself into the customer's shoe. If you are, see, what I normally tell people is, please go to few people. Don't tell any background about this. Show the product and say, are you interested to buy? That's where you get the feedback from. Okay. That's where you get. Then if somebody says, no, I am not interested, ask him why you won't buy this. He will give you 10 reasons. Come back to the factory, take a paper and pen, come back to your idea stage. See if you can change those things which he said as the reasons for not buying, and again go back to him. See, many times what happens with tech entrepreneurs is, we all feel very happy. It's like our parents. all parents feel proud about their children, however good or bad they are, isn't it so? Even bad children, what I mean by bad children is notorious children, people who are naughty. I'm not saying bad. Their parents many times fail to accept that these are notorious children. Why? Because they're children. But that's not the way faculty looks at it. That's not the way society looks at them. So if you want a good product, think from that end. Go to them, give your prototype, give your product and ask them, would you buy this? If you buy this, what is the price at which you're willing to pay? Then come back and rework on your idea. This connect many times is missing. When I develop a product, I feel very happy about it. But will my customer feel happy about it? That is the most important thing. I hope I have answered your question, sir.
Yeah, definitely. You have answered to my question, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, or we'll move to the case study? Okay, fine. Let's go to the case study. I know all of you know this company, which is a company I'm talking about, Zomato. All of you know about this company. Why was Zomato in news recently? Because they have completed a successful IPO 2 weeks ago. Now, let me tell you the story of this Zomato. Some of you may know it. This is a company which was started by two IIT graduates, just like yours, engineers. Okay, this Dipinder Goyal and Pankaj Chadha. The first name of the company was Foodie Bay. It was started in 2008. They were working for a consulting firm called Bain and Company in Delhi. They were graduate engineers there. They were working for them. They didn't have any background in food business. But they found a lot of people standing in queue in front of restaurants, trying to see the menu and decide on what they have to buy. So they thought, why not scan the menu of this restaurant and put it on a website so that sitting at home, I will be able to see, okay, this started in Delhi, National Capital Region, NCR, Delhi. Said, okay, fine. In Delhi, in Connaught Place, there is one restaurant. Can I sit at home and see the menu of that restaurant? Yes, there is a website which gives me. You know, in Vijay Chowk, there is another restaurant. Can I see the menu of that restaurant? Earlier, I had to drive to that place, ask the restaurant for a menu, scan through the menu. So they said, okay, let us do this. They started Saturday, Sundays, they took a scooter and then started going to various restaurants and said, please give me your menu. I will put it in a website. Restaurants had no problem. They were happy. They just scanned this and put it in the website. They started spreading this website among their friends in the company and family. Slowly, more people started getting attracted towards that. You know, it was very easy for people now. They could sit at home, open a website and click on the restaurant name and the menu was displayed. This is how that entire business started. Did they have any background? They didn't have any background. Did anybody tell them? No, nobody told them do this. This was an idea that came to their mind. They are technical people. They are engineers from IIT Delhi. They have no food business background at all. They started posting this menu in restaurants. In 2010, they changed the name to Zomato. Now, something very interesting happened in 2010. Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, you must have heard of a company called Naukri.com. Naukri.com. He's a founder of this company, a very big investor, a very big angel investor. Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani started looking at this website and started using this website of Foodie Bay. He was also interested. This is a new website. Let me see, they're doing something. And they were still working for Bain and Company. Please understand, they never quit that job. In 2010, this is why I sometimes feel Zomato, the entrepreneurs were lucky. Sanjeev Bikhchandani sends an email to Dipinder Goyal saying that, hey, I have been using your website. I am attracted by your business model. Are you interested to get funding from me? This is what I call early stage angel. You know, this is real angel. The angel came looking for you. You didn't go in search of angels. Sanjeev Bikhchandani sends a mail, and you can search in the internet, you will find. Within 24 hours, Dipinder Goyal replies to that mail. In 48 hours, their first meeting happens, and within 72 hours, they close the deal of investment of $1 million into the company. See how lucky you are? Not all entrepreneurs are as lucky as this. What happened? Your product was seen by your angel investor. He has used your product, and he found there is a lot of demand, there is a lot of future for this business, and he came forward to invest. That was just the beginning. Funds kept pouring in at regular intervals. Major investors came, like InfoEdge is a company of Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani. Then venture capital funding like Secura Capital, VY Capital, Temasek, they all came up. They had some 27 rounds of funding. Just imagine, 2008 to 2021 is just about 13 years. In 13 years, the company has grown, and 2 weeks back, they closed a IPO of 9,375 crores. Today, the company is present not only in India, it is also present in Middle East. Today, it is one of the largest food delivery firms. A lot of other add-on services were done. What was the catch area? What was the strength of this? What is it that made Zomato a successful company? The idea was new. The idea was original. They were meeting the unmet demand of customers. Nobody was doing it, but there was a demand. Nobody told them. This is what I told you. The need was there. Nobody told them. It is from their experience of standing in queue. I still remember when I was in Ahmedabad in 96, 98, Ahmedabad is a place known for eating out. Most of the families close their kitchen and go out for eating in the weekends. The bachelors like me had a tough time because in front of most of the good restaurants, there's a big queue. And the good restaurants will put few chairs and a pandal outside. They will keep serving water there. You have to wait there. Somebody in the entrance of the restaurant will take down your name. They'll say, okay, if I go there, Ajay Kumar, how many people? 4 people. And you sit there. Imagine 96, 97, no mobile phones. You sit there, keep chatting with your friends. This guy will keep calling as the table gets empty. You will say Ajay Kumar, they'll say Ajoy Bhai. This is how we will call. So we were waiting. Can this waiting be made virtual? I'll give you another example. All of you, most of you have gone to Tirupati, Tirumala Devasthana. People used to stand in long queues there. You know, somebody came up with an idea of a virtual queue. They said, we will give you a band, a wristband with a QR code, you know, with a code, not QR code. That was some other, which called MICR code, I think. I don't remember. Technically, I'm not good at it. It was all bars, not QR code, bars. There's a barcode there. They said, the moment you have a band, now you don't have to stand in the queue, go wherever you want. When that timing is 4 o'clock is your reporting time, report at 4 o'clock. Your band probably you would have got in the morning. Evening 4 is your reporting time. You are free to go wherever you want. 4 o'clock you report. Maybe in half an hour you get the darshan and come out. So what happened? The physical queue was replaced by a virtual queue. Technology came in there. Somebody has thought about it. See, similarly, these people thought of a demand which was not expressed to them. They converted it to an idea. Could you scale up quickly? Very, very quickly. In no time, they started in Bombay and Bangalore, then Calcutta, and one by one cities they started adding. Zomato, do you have Zomato in Davangere? I don't know. Is Zomato working in Davangere? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. See, today in a small town like Davangere, what I mean by small town is comparatively not a metro town. Zomato is working today. Just imagine, 13 years this company has become to this, and they resorted to a series of acquisitions. They kept on acquiring companies. They have delivery partners, they have restaurant partners, they have a wonderful business model, and today they have raised 9,375 crores through an IPO. So this is an example of a company which went from, see this, Zomato went from an honors money in the beginning in 2008, and today in 2021, they are here. In 2010, their first angel investor came in. Mr. Padpik Chandani came in 2010. So this is how the life of a company has moved. Okay, so that's all for me. If you have any questions, I'm done with it. If you have any questions or clarifications, I'm willing to take it up. So let me just close this sharing.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. So now I request Maunesh Ajay sir to propose vote of thanks.
Okay. No, any questions, madam, or is that?
Sir.
See this
No, sir.
this presentation I have shared with Soumya, Sushma, madam. Madam,
Yes,
you
sir.
may please mail it to the participants. You know, you can freely mail
Yes,
it.
sir.
No
Yes, sir.
problem.
Sure, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
All right. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope you got something to take home from this talk. That's what my expectation
Yes,
is. Thank you.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yeah, please tell me, sir.
Sir, I might have designed a very good business plan, and some angel investor or a venture capitalist may come forward to fund it.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, some negotiations and some collaborations may occur, and finally, I may came to start my business,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
But sometimes, unfortunately, because of these kind of pandemics or some situations, if
Yes.
the business fails,
Yeah.
if it is not taken up as it is predicted, so then
Yes.
who will be held responsible, sir, to return the money and all those things for
This-
ROI especially?
Okay, see, please understand, sir, these angel investors and venture capital funds are typically people who are willing to take that risk. Okay.
Okay.
They know that there is a possibility of failure also. Okay. But how do they manage? If a venture capitalist puts money into 10 ventures, probably 7 of them will succeed. That profit he gets from 7 will offset his loss in the other 3.
Okay.
So he is also a partner now. So he will also help you. If the business fails because of genuine reasons, pandemic came, what do? You know, it's beyond your control. But at the same time, if they feel you are purposely creating problems in the business, they will withdraw. They will put pressure on you.
Okay.
If out of reasons which are outside your control, you have failed, they understand that. That's why they have come there. They are willing to take that risk.
Sir, I have one last question to ask, sir.
Now, please ask me, sir.
Sir, as you said, in case of a passionate about one particular idea, you said that feedback from investor, angel investors.
Yes.
But the moment I give the idea, they may encash it, that idea. How can I take the feedback without revealing the ideas that I have?
Sir, this is a problem which is faced by every new idea. Okay. Now, unless I tell, I cannot test it. But if I tell, it may get leaked. But what is the choice I have? Okay, that is why people start on their own by putting some money. Once they establish, then they go to an angel investor saying this is an existing business. Okay. This is also where your patenting comes into place. Can you patent it? If you have patented it, it is your exclusive. Patenting or copyright or whatever it is. If you can't do that, it's always a problem, sir. See, it's always a problem. I have an idea. Now, if I don't tell people, I don't know whether it is working. But if I tell them, I have the risk. So normally what I do is, this is where I'm so happy Professor Mallikarjun asked this question. This is where you have to be very careful in choosing your angel investor. Okay. So if you go and tell an idea to Nandan Nilekani, please tell me what is the chance that he will bypass you and start his business? Very rare, no? He will not do it, no? Yes. He's a person known for his ethics. If Ratan Tata, do you think Ratan Tata, you go and, of course, I'm just giving big names. You go and give an idea to Ratan Tata. He will listen to it and say goodbye to Mallikarjun and start the business. He will never do that. So you should also do some analysis and background checking of angel investors. Okay, they are people who are genuinely interested. They may give you some genuine, they are planning to grow with you. They are not planning to bypass you. So you have to be very careful while choosing the angel investors also. And this is a dilemma which everybody goes through. See, I'm 100% sure Professor Mallikarjun has a wonderful idea. That's why he has thought about it. Okay, otherwise nobody will think like that. Okay, so when I have an idea, I always have this risk. But you have to be very choosy. See, if I have a product, whom do I ask? I don't ask somebody in the street. I ask my close friend. I'm sure he's not going to cheat on me. Okay. So same is the case with angel investors also. Okay. Thank you. Your questions were very thought-provoking, sir. Thank you. I really enjoyed answering your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Now I request Maunesh sir to propose vote of thanks.
Yeah, madam. My pleasure. Sir, I'm Dr. Maunesh Achari, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, sir. And also I'm convener for IIC GMIT. Sir, you accepted our invitation and you delivered a wonderful talk on angel investors and venture capitalists. To be frank, sir, before to listen to your talk, I was thinking angel investors and venture capitalists both are same. But when I heard your talk, then I came to then I understood. Yes, they are different. So this is what one important thing, sir. And you started with all the fundamentals of both the concepts, and it was a very wonderful journey in this one and a half hours. And you took so many examples also, case studies you took, Xerox you took, and ultimately you took Zomato, that is a recent one. Because at all the places we'll be seeing Zomato people, Zomato logo everywhere, and that case study you took, and it was very catchy and very easy to understand. And along with your session, sir, you encouraged and motivated all our students also who are present today.
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
It was really a great session. It was an eye-opener session. And certainly we request, sir, from on behalf of IIC, we request, on behalf of GMIT, we request whenever you coming here, or else once this pandemic is over, definitely we invite you, sir, for physical
My pleasure, sir.
sessions.
Actually, I would also like to thank my colleague Dr. Lohit from Mechanical Department. He is the person
Yes,
who
sir,
connected
yes,
me with Professor Sushma.
Yes, sir.
So I met him one day and said, "Sir, somebody wants to do it." So Lohit is a very good friend of mine. So thanks to Lohit for connecting me with this. Okay, thank you.
Thanks to him, sir, from our side also, because he gave was such a wonderful person for our this session, sir. So actually, what happened, sir, we were searching in innovation ambassador concept of IIC, sir, in the internet. There we took Lohit sir number, sir.
Yes,
And then we contacted him and he gave your number, sir.
Okay.
That's how we went on. It was a wonderful, sir, actually. And finally, we reached him and we reached a right person, sir, who is very much important for further developments. Sir, one more information, sir. From our college, we applied around 13 proposals to FKCCI, that month-end program, sir. Yeah, among 13, 9 got selected, sir.
Oh,
for the
very
next
good, very good, very
presentation.
good. That's very good, very good.
Yes, sir. Actually, our students will be thinking that why to prepare business plan and all. And this particular session, what you gave, it's a right session where they can think of, and after this business plan, what is the next step? So that is what you delivered. So it's really awesome, wonderful, informative. And also our Professor Mallikarjun, MSc, always sir was asking about his startup and his ideas. And today I think Mallikarjun sir has received or has got almost clarity on all the things, whatever he had in his mind. Am I correct, sir? Mallikarjun sir. So thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and joining us and giving us a wonderful thought. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank
thanks
you,
to
sir.
and thanks to Professor Sushma also.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
so much for
Thank
your
you.
college.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. And also I thank all the participants who joined and who made this session successful. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank you.
thanks to everyone.
Thank you, sir. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.